listening to another episode of the Richmond BigFooty Tigercast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and YouTube so you can follow all the racing posts, the reviews and previews, and all topics Richmond. Also keep an ear out for our special episodes and interviews with past players.
Hello, welcome to a very
Tigers.
special episode of the Richmond BigFooty Tigercast. I'm Joins Michaels, back from cruise. Rodney Dangerfield has done an excellent job hosting while I was away, so thank you very much to him. But he's handed back the reins now, and we're kicking off my first one back with the episode I suppose you've all been waiting for, given the threads that have been popping up on the board about Tom Lynch in particular. So it's time of the year for our trade talk segments, and who better to get in than the main man with the info, Tiger71. Welcome.
Yeah, g'day, Mick. How was the cruise, mate?
Very good. It was good to get away for 10 days, but the only thing that was hurting me was not knowing the Collingwood score for about 3 or 4 days after the game. So
That'd have been rough.
Yeah, that was frustrating, but I finally found it, and I watched the game when I got back, which was good. So, but now the Tigers are doing very well this year. Another nice win on the weekend against the Kangaroos. What did you make of that game?
Yeah, look, listen, I think we just look. I don't like North Melbourne. People know that. So any North supporters, please don't get offended. Don't post hate mail on the boards and stuff. It's just don't like you. You don't like the Tigers. It's all good. Look, I reckon they threw everything at us, particularly their best centre-half forward in Razor Ray. Really try to keep him in it. Some of the decision-making was just gobsmacked deplorable. But, look, they're a good side. They're an old side. People got conned in that they're young and they're this. And I really love the fact that our young kids spanked our young kids by, nearly 100 points. And then our younger side just basically kept them under arm's length. We're obviously quite sore. I think probably most of the 22 had an eye on to this week, playing West Coast, and they just did what they needed to do. And, we won. It was a good win. It was, look, let's be honest, North is anything from, I think they're equal 13th. So, 13th, 10th is probably where they're going to finish, which is great for them, and their 25 supporters. So, yeah, no, but look, listen, it was a good win. Talk about winning, like we always seem to be getting the W's. What's really shitting me off? How come when we beat people, it's all about how brave they are? Like, I'm like some of the board posters heard me call SEN today. I just spoke to Andy and I said, Andy, mate, how come North is so brave when their side was older than us, when their core, if you look at that list, their core older types have played together longer than our core guys. So there's no issue like they haven't got cohesion. They're fully well drilled. And then we're playing at that really crap stadium, the little small ground where weaker sides go to play. That's what's really kept them in it. Plus our inaccuracy. People forget too, how many scoring shots more did we have? I think it was 10 more. So we had a kick straight. Yeah, we would have won by another 7 goals, 8 goals. But Collingwood, again, was another one. We had to kick 4 or 5 points straight, I think it was. In the first quarter, if we had to kick straight, it would have been, look, the way I sort of worked it out with another Tiger poster, Captain Blood 17, I think it was, we worked it out, it should have been about 15-goal win, but it was all about how brave Collingwood were, how brave North is. We beat West Coast to be how brave West Coast is. I bet you any money that's what will happen. I'm just getting sick of it. Yeah,
there's just a lot of haters out there. I mean, I get you got to, respect the fact that North did play a good game. They come with a good game plan. They executed it really well, so full marks to them.
But did they really? Did they really? I analysed, I saw the replay again today, and keep in mind, Etihad is a small ground, right? If it was at MCG and we only beat them by 10 points, look, I'll be the first one, tip my hat to them. But really what they did was congest the ground to try to limit ball movement. I think Brad Scott said, we stopped them scoring. So that's great. You want to tag 2 or 3 blokes, that's all right. But if a neutral umpiring team was there that wasn't some freaking hidden agenda, I know Gold Dust is probably going to go at me now because I'm talking about, some sort of conspiracy. But, seriously, the amount of holding, arm chopping, pushing in the back, dropping the ball when they're tackled, that was not paid. Clear, and the amount of goals they got, I counted 6 of them, directly from forward 50 Razor Rays area, forward 50 turnovers on the favouring North Melbourne, that they got 6 goals from it. So, I don't know. They got Cunnington. Again, I reckon Hardwick's a genius. I reckon Carousella, Neil Baum, Hardwick, our assistant coach, has said, let's give Cunnington as much ball as we can because that kid did not hurt us. Yeah, he did well. He got 39 contested possessions. Yes, because he was tackled when he disposed of the ball. Because he got tackled every single second he had it.
Yeah.
But his disposal was woeful. He turned the ball. He gave us about 6 goals. So, but
I think I already had disposal efficiency of about 60%, but that comes with, I suppose, just getting clearances. It's a bit of a skewed stat.
It is.
The umpires were, I think, deplorable for both teams. I mean, the fact that over 50 free kicks were awarded in a game is pretty bad, I think.
Oh, it was,
I think
particularly around like that. It's way too high. Like, if you're not going to pay, dropping the ball, if you're not going to pay that rule, okay, then put the whistle away.
Yeah.
Because you can't pay it in the forward line. It seems we get stung on it. I don't know why it's us. Maybe it's because we tackle so fervently in the forward line and the umpires just sort of get shocked by it. So they start pinging us. But our defenders, mate, I don't know. Like Ranch, you could see how frustrated he was at the end of the quarter. At the end, I think when the siren went, you saw him on the replay screaming, F yeah, like it meant something to him because he knew he was getting bent over. And they still got the win. So I reckon it was a mature win by our team.
No, it was. It was good. And, I mean, even the fact that we're sitting first, I must admit it wasn't something that I expected that we would be this time of year. I didn't think we would do what the Bulldogs did, but I thought we might have been maybe in the middle of the 8 somewhere. So to be where we are on the ladder coming into a first, second clash is a pretty exciting time.
It is. No, I have to admit, after our final series and the grand final domination, and that's what it was, an absolute domination. I'm 46, mate, so it's taken me a while to believe these guys, and I've still got a little part of the back of my brain saying, "Oh, the shit's going to happen. We're going to crumble, and then I'm going to cop it again." But I now believe we just refuse to lose. Like even our poor game against Adelaide, we played the worst. There's no disrespect to Adelaide. Adelaide I really respect. The Crows are a great side, well coached, well drilled, very disciplined. We played, and I reckon any neutral that didn't hate us would say this, we played the worst game for 3.5 quarters. We just played shit football. We weren't as hard as that we normally were. We're getting spanked in possession, spanked in clearances. Our main game, which is the second possession turnover, we were well down in, so we're playing shit football. But what kept us in there, we're only 9 points, I think 5 minutes into last quarter, was our work rate and a will to try to work through how shit we were. And then, obviously, we had the 2 glaring turnovers, and then we had the umpire, I think he blew 6 free kicks all in a row, and the result just got away from us. But that's when I believed, funny enough, from that game. I said, well, if we can play the worst football we can, and Adelaide, yes, had their injuries, but, they had a real mission to prove us right, and we're only 9 points down playing the worst football we could at their home deck. We're a seriously good team. And it's one reason why I'm getting so fed up with everyone saying, the media going about how brave our rivals are, because it's bullshit. If you analyse a Richmond game, we outscore them, we're tougher than them more often than not, we win the hard ball, and we move the ball beautifully. Our offensive ball movement is insane, but no one's talking about it. They're trying to act like we can just the whole ground, defend like a Carlton. We don't do that. We absorb your pressure and slingshot, but now we slingshot, but with purpose. We slingshot, get the ball in there quickly, and then we set up behind the ball. So as they try to get the ball out from our initial first entry, we then attack from that, and that's why we score so heavily. Yeah. It's brilliant. We're the only team doing it. Other teams are trying to copy, but we're the only team to do it every single week.
Yeah, and like we sort of said before, that if you don't have 22 blokes buying into it each week, it's not really going to work. So whatever Hardwick and that have gone through the last couple of years, they've really nailed it. Everyone's buying in. And I think we're a better team than what we were at the same time last year, but I still think that our finals football is a lot better than what we're playing now. But that's okay. I don't expect us to be playing at a finals level at this point in time. We don't really need to as such. We need to save that for when we do need to. But it's good to see that they've carried on and the pressure's still good. The only thing that annoys me a little bit is sometimes I think we could try and be a little bit too fancy and unselfish.
I know.
Edwards handball, trying to do that handball over the top to Butler in the goal square, and he was 15 metres out, virtually straight in front. Probably should have just kicked it himself.
But with
I
that,
get what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and we sometimes with like behaviour like that ends up become instinctive. That's what I think they're trying to do. And Edwards is the leader of the club, and they're trying to instinctively share the ball to the best position. We even tried to do it when we had that bit of a turnover, when we were off Griffiths, and then we went with this small forward line. I think it was about round 14, 15. We started to share the ball a lot more aggressively, and it cost us a few games. And our accuracy went absolutely to shit midway through last year because of it. Because we were sharing too much. But I don't mind it. I prefer it to do it now and still win. So when we hit finals in the busy part of the year, we're actually doing the Harlem Globetrotters, type of ping-ponging the ball around and scoring, because that's what confuses defenders. They don't know how to zone and set up, because I know when the ball initially comes through, it's a decoy. So this is the beautiful thing about it. And I've analysed that. I've got a few mates that are in other clubs that do this for a living. And, I had a barbecue. It's my son's birthday just on the weekend. And I had one particular mate of mine who works for a particular club, which I won't name, and he said what's frustrating for opposition teams at the moment is the media hasn't gotten onto it. It's not just our pressure. What defenders are finding really, really hard, and my mate, I believe, because he coaches the back line and defensive mechanisms, what he was basically saying is Richmond's forward entry, so the first chaos ball is a decoy only. It's not we rarely scare. If you look at the Richmond game, we rarely score from the first entry. What our entry is, we'll kick the ball in and then we'll meet the ball in a wave. I hope I'm explaining it correctly. But so what we generally do is, and that's why we're sharing, because once we get that turnover, we try to throw their patterns out and then allow an easy score. But what's happening now is in the early part of the year, they're obviously really keen to do it, and they're doing it when they don't need to. But look, I reckon keep the habit going, because then it becomes something that's just instinctive. It still throws our opposition off, and that's what most of our opposition teams, from what I believe, being told, are worried about us. We're not a great contested side, funny enough. We've lost that because, but we're a brilliant, well-coached side. We're a team with system. That's one of the best teams that have been seen in the last 10 years. From my mate, he was really full of praise of us. Our system behind the ball is the best he's seen, and he's been in the football community. Used to be a player and been doing this for 30 odd years. So best they've ever seen. He said, if people talk about our press, it's not our press, it's our system of ball movement and ball use. That's elite. And what he means by ball use is not just hitting targets, it's where we're kicking the ball to and then how we set up around that contest to get effective disposal and get a shot at goal. And that's what it's all about. So, and it's coming now. I think we're number one offense and number one. Are we number one offense and one defense? I
think we are now, because I think North Melbourne were first or were second in defence, but I think we were first for both now. So
yeah, which club has ever been number one in both? Can you remember a team that's for the first 7 weeks been 1-1 in both categories?
To be honest, it's not something I would have known or looked out for, but I can't imagine it to be overly common.
Yeah, it's not. It's for me. I'm not a stats guy. I know Tiger71. He's really big in his stats. Guys with micro penises tend to be really big with numbers, so I know he is. So I've got to make sure I put a post and tag Tiger71 if you know. He'll come out with it straight away. But I'm not sure. But yeah, we're 1-1, and we've been that. And mate, what's our percentage? 140%. We're like 20% above West Coast.
Yeah. Yep.
That's like a game. That's an extra game.
It is exactly right. Oh, before we get into the trade stuff, we've got obviously West Coast this week. How do you think we're going to fare in that one?
Look, if it had been Richmond from 2 years ago, or even last year, seeing how our culture sort of evolved, I probably would have said we were arrested guys because we played off Etihad and it's hard surface, and we're going up to West Coast on another hard ground. But I really believe we've got a culture of anytime, anywhere, and they don't want to lose. And there's a really distinct level of pride in the jumper. So I reckon we'll go there with a full who's fit to play will go. I don't think it'll be resting blokes. So I reckon Higgins is due for a rest. I think he's getting tired. So hopefully he goes out, has a bit of a spell in the twos, and we bring someone else in. Townsend, I liked his game on the weekend. He did a really good defensive job on weight. So I reckon he'll thrive in these bigger grounds. He loves the deep pockets. So I reckon we'll go with a full-strength side or whoever we can, Cochin and Pressure hopefully comes back in. Hopefully Grigg, I think, is another 2 weeks away. But, I reckon we'll go there to win it, to be honest.
Fingers crossed. I think it's going to be a ripper of a game. Yeah, I'm not sure which way it's going to go at the moment, but yeah, it's going to be an exciting contest. And the good thing about it is because, I suppose for both teams, because we've created a bit of separation from third onwards, whoever loses, the worst they're going to be is second. So still not the worst outcome in the world, but to win could create a further gap between the teams below them as well. So still a lot on the line.
And then we play Essendon, I think, next week. The week after that, don't we?
St Kilda, then Essendon.
Oh, wonderful. Mashallah. You know what I mean? So, look, listen, I rate West Coast. People are underselling them. I'm not sold that they have, yes, they've beat Yannick who's been put in front of you, but they've been a lot like us. They've been commanding wins. They've stripped the side of their strengths. And when a side can strip their opposition with their strengths and just basically defeat them, that's a sign of a really good side. So, and they're playing with a lot of spirit. They've copied us in some ways about that connection, and you just hear the guys talk. It's all about the team. It's about them. It's not about, the individual. So it's going to be a cracking contest. Look, I think we might lose. I think we've got a lot of sore bodies. If we didn't play the Eddie out, if we had to play the MCG last weekend, I reckon we could good chance to win. But we'll see how we go. It'll be close. I don't see there's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, and I agree. I have a feeling they might win as well, but I don't think we'll disgrace ourselves. And I think they're underrated as well. They've had a good year, especially knocking off GWS last week at GWS. I know they've got a few outs, but I mean West Coast had Nick Nat out, so that's a pretty big out for them. So yeah, they're doing really well, and their forward line's probably what worries me the most. They've got a lot of versatile players, but yeah, it should be a good game.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Alrighty. Well, do you want to get on to? I know the guys are probably going, Tiger71, shut up, get to what we want you for, and I understand what I'm wanted for. So, but what I'm going to do is a bit different. All right, guys. I got called on a mitigated liar. Now, admittedly, I got called by a particular poster whose reputation is absolutely nothing. But and even though everything I've said to him has come about, I'm not going to name the poster because I want to get this podcast in trouble or reported. But anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Michael as my witness here because Michael's credibility hopefully is not in question. So what I decided to do this time around, I've told Michael a fair bit of my inside stuff that I don't normally share on the boards as early as when I hear it, but I figured to do this with Mick so he gets an understanding of because it's his show and you don't want someone that I wanted to make sure he was at ease and at peace that what he's hearing from me is generally legit stuff. And I'm probably safe in saying, Mick, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that everything I've told you so far is generally all come about. All the names I've mentioned of all the names 100% have come about prior to media, prior to people going on our boards and all this sort of stuff. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing, we've spoken about it before, that people need to understand that just because you mention a name, you're not necessarily saying that, yep, they're coming across. It's the fact that they've been spoken to and there's interest there. So things happen between now and then kind of thing. But yeah, the names you've mentioned to me in our PM have been linked to us at some stage.
Yeah. Now, with that in mind, what I'm going to do, I'll talk about, Don't Argue 4 asked me to question what I knew about the Shaki. So I didn't reply to his post because I got given the information from a mate of mine. With his mail, he knows what I share. He just knows I won't mention who he is. So, and people don't know who I am. So he's safe. He's got comfort in that. And that's the reason why I haven't tried to make, look, to be honest, I've had people say to me, Michael, why don't you, I had one particular person from some media agency, which I won't mention, actually asked me why won't I make money on this. And I said no, because that means they've got to know who I am. And if they know who I am, then they'll find out some more stuff about me, and then that can lead up to a couple of my mates being having their personal lives impacted. And I don't want that to happen. For me, I do this for fun. I do this because I love the Tigers, mate. And I love our board. I love everything about it. I love the posters on it. I even love the gun, even though he gives me the shit sometimes. He's a top bloke. Gold Dust is another one. I don't agree with him often, but he's a top quality bloke. I've not met him, but he cares about the club, even though he might not agree. He does care about us. Tiger Imposter's another one. We've butted heads, but he's a good bloke. He won't be listening because I say fuck a lot, but Tiger, I like you. So these are the reason why I do it. You know what I mean? That's the only reason why I do it. I don't do it for anything outside of that.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, so go back on Don't Argue 4. He asked me about Shaki. Now, I broke Shaki before anyone even knew. I think I got lambasted for being a bullshit artist because Shaki wasn't on the radar. Anyway, the reason why it didn't come out, and from what I've heard, is that football is not his number one passion. He's a conflicted young man. And we didn't want to pursue it. It would have cost us a first-round pick if he had shown us that he had the desire to improve. And if his words married up to his actions is probably what I was allowed to say, actually. Yeah, if his word married up to his actions at the start of when we were dealing with him, we would have taken him. But we would have made sure it happened, but they didn't. So we sort of said, thank you, but no thanks. We wish you the best of luck. So, and then other clubs heard. Obviously, they all talk. They would have got wind why Richmond went absolutely cold. We didn't really divulge why we backed away, but that was a big red flag. So other clubs went cold, and the Bulldogs have taken a punch on him. So hope it works out. I like the guy. I reckon he's a prodigious talent. He's just got to want to play football. Really just want to play football above everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that was a good question that was posed as well because, yeah, he did. It went cold sort of at the drop of a hat, but that makes sense. If his heart's not in playing footy as much as everyone else, then I don't think there would have been a right spot for him in our mould at the moment. So I think that made complete sense.
Yep. Now, I want to talk about Lynch, right? That's what everyone's on here for, so we'll talk about Lynch, right? Now, Lynch re-signed his contract, when it was a couple of years ago. I think he signed 2 years, whatever it was. Was it last year or the year before? I can't recall off the top of my head. But if you remember back, Nick, after he had signed, I sort of mentioned then that from what I knew, and the person I get this mail from would know, it's 100%. Lynch basically re-signed to reward the faith to help Gold Coast. How can I say this the right way without getting in trouble? Basically, he wanted to leave then, from what I got told, which I got no reason to disbelieve. I reckon the AFL got involved. I can't prove this, but this is what I feel's happened, and I believe where I got this from. AFL got involved with the Gold Coast and said, Lynch, mate, we'll pay you this and this and this and this and this, and we give you, and they've worked into the contract that he can go to the club of his choice when his contract runs out without any roadblocks. As long as Gold Coast is semi-looked after, Gold Coast has agreed to this. This is back when he first originally re-signed. Else he would put himself out to market. And Gold Coast has come to the party with that, said no problem. I reckon personally there was something shifty done there to get him happy money-wise. The AFL has know about, but most other people don't. So anyway, Lynch re-signed, but knowing that come 2 years, 24 months later, he could go to the club of his choice and he should not get roadblocked. So that's why when I heard that, I said, yeah, okay. And then my mate came back to me a couple of months later and said, don't be surprised he's going to be a Tiger. And I said, yeah, okay. And I kept that quiet. And a couple of months after that, he came back to me and said, nah, Mick, he's going to be a Tiger. So I shared that with, it was before, I put it on writing in one of our conversations, like the 8th of August, 2017. I mentioned, right. Yeah. But it was prior to that too, because I think we had two conversations going and then we just went into the one main one that I mentioned, Lynch. So, so it's been something we've worked on for close to 24 months. So I've got, from what I've heard, even in his re-signing of his last contract, we was heavily involved in, we wanted him there and then. It worked out best for him to stay at Gold Coast. We would have to pay too much to get him if we could. We would have given too much. So I reckon we've sort of gone, okay, sign, but we're here for you, Lynch. We need you. We want you. So that's how far back this work has gone. That's why I want people to take a bit of, let's talk about logic, right? I don't believe in words. Funny enough, you're hearing my words. I believe in actions, right? I've been in sales for many, many years. And, you never bullshit a bullshitter, right? So, that old saying. So I believe what people do, not what they say. So let's look at a few facts here, right? We'll talk about Rand specifically. Rand, about a month or so ago, came out and said, we would love to meet Lynch, right? We would love to see him as a leadership group. We would love to have him. If people recall an article, I haven't got the article in front of me, but he came out and that's what Rand had said. Then Jack, who's as honest as they come, I would love to play poker against Jack because he'd freaking lose every time. showed a bit too much emotion on Lynch when mentioned by Rob on that famous 360 episode. So this is my call. Now, this is what I've been told, sort of. I'm not saying this is from the club. This is just from my mates all having a chat, having a beer, and what we think's happened, and just drawing the dots. But what I fairly well believe is that Rance has realised, the club's realised, because no way Rance would have gone on the couch without being conditioned by the media manager. And I reckon what we've done is just try to take pressure off Lynch. So he's just thrown a bit of a smokescreen, and that's all it was. He didn't say we don't want Lynch. He just said, you know what, let's put a bit of doubt on that to give Lynch a bit of breathing room. And he did it perfectly. He killed it in the media. It killed it. People aren't talking Richmond and Lynch anymore. And that benefits who? I reckon that benefits Lynch.
Yeah.
It gives him the breathing space he needs while he's off injured. So we've played the long game here. My mail is Lynch won't be re-signing with us for 1.4, signing with us for 1.4. I reckon that's just headline tagging. I do know from what I do believe, I should say. No, actually, no, so I do know. I do know he'll be under the Dusty dollars. Just put it that way. He won't be at the Dusty level. His contract will be, once he signs with us, which I believe he will, it would be for a long time. I'm thinking like a 7-year. Could even be a little bit longer. I do believe it's going to be heavily front-loaded. I do believe that we've got a clear plan of who we want to re-sign and stay with the club, and they're fully aware of it. They will not stuff where we're at. So some of the guys who re-sign will earn a little bit less at the start of their contract, but a lot more at the end of their contract. We're very professional in how we do this and how we work our payment structure. So I'm excited. I'm literally excited. See, this is the thing. There was a big thread on our board about Lynch. You put Lynch at full forward. You put Rewalt at centre half forward and get Rewalt to kick inside 50 to do his marks. He's a smart kid. He's a natural footballer. He reads the play. Oh, could you imagine the effect with our small guys around Lynch with Jack kicking it into the 50? And if you look at the way Jack has changed his game, he goes up the ground. It's no surprise he started going up the ground, I believe. This is my opinion. When we've already put in the foundations in place to get Jack conditioned to get the ball up the ground, to kick it into 50. And he's been doing a lot this year and a lot last year. Why? I believe because he'll be kicking to a target when Lynch comes and plays for the Tigers in 2019. So, look, my only worry, still fear, is the AFL. Hawks aren't in it. From what I've heard, Hawks aren't in it. I'll be gobsmacked if they can get in it. They haven't got the salary cap. They're not going to move their players that they've got. I know from a mate of mine who told me this is the Hawks' name will come up. But no, they won't make it. They'll try to get pressure as well, but they lowballed him because they had no room to go. There was no point getting involved. They haven't got the allure that they once had. We've got. Now I'm not allowed to say who the name is because it'll get my couple of mates in trouble. But we've had players from last year that wanted to come to the club that we just said no, sorry, you're not the right fit for us. Some well-known players that wanted to come play for us. Make no mistake, we are the place players want to go to, not because we just want a flag. It's because we look after the players that are with us. We have this culture of togetherness. We have a culture of, all in, one in, all in, or whatever they call it. The coaches are happy. Everyone's happy. We do things together. And we're not a pressure environment. Funny enough, it's not, they do something bad and they're just given, knuckles over their head. It's all about education and getting better. And it's well known in the industry. Plus we've got to lead everything else, And Neil Barm, mate, what a pickup. What an absolute pickup.
Yeah, he's been one of the best recruits we've had for a while. So just to clarify and back over, from what you've been told, you're fairly confident that Lynch will be a Tiger, barring the AFL coming in over the top and offering him some ridiculous amount that he can't refuse.
Yeah, I've got to be. I've told you prior to this what I can't say here, but I'm super confident. And people want to say, "Oh, he was confident on Shill," and you're right. But I don't do the negotiations. But here I'm Prestia level confident. Deals like this aren't done just on the off season. If people think that, then you're wrong. we're all trying to put our heads in the sand because it's against, inverted commas, against the rules, but it's done and dusted from what I've been told. Everything that I've been told, it's done. It's been done a while ago. People can change their minds, and nothing's written on concrete. That's the only risk we have. So something might happen, that I'm not aware of. But from everything I've got and everything that I've heard is we've done enough, and we've done enough to get him. And what Rance has done has no effect. Nothing at all to do with Lynch. Not even a worry.
Like you said, though, he would have been worded up by the media department. You don't go onto a show like that when that topic was going to be spoken about without having coaching on what to say.
Exactly.
It just doesn't happen.
And did anyone hear from Lynch's manager after Rance had spoken?
No, what happened there?
No, nothing.
No, nothing.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
If it had been, because people could have taken that as the media tried to build it up as an insult, but you know what's surprising? The manager didn't say anything. Yeah. Now that for me speaks volumes, because if Lynch had no intention of coming to the club, do you seriously think the manager wouldn't have said something?
Yeah, exactly.
The manager would have gone on the front foot straight away. Who's this Rance? Richmond. He's not going to Richmond anyway. He would go to Richmond anyway. So Rance, don't worry about it. That's what would have happened to protect the brand, which is his client. That didn't happen. So leave that with you.
It's understandably hard to get excited fully because there's obviously a bit to play out. But if what info you've got stays true as stuff has done in the past, that would be a massive, massive signing, and I think there'll be a lot of upset opposition supporters.
Oh, talk about upset
opposition
supporters. When I tell you the names that have been bandied about, you're going to get one in particular frothing at the mouth, calling me every name under the sun. But, but just before we leave Lynch, so, I'm super confident we're going to get him. But again, all I can tell you guys is what I hear. I've got no input into this. I'm just sharing you what I hear. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. This is not an out, right? I believe as a fellow supporter that from everything I've heard, that we're going to get him. But if it doesn't happen, I'll be as disappointed as everyone else. But again, what I think my little niche in our board is to let you guys know before you hear from anyone else. And that's what I've been doing. And I've been doing it with good faith, and I'll continue to do so. So, so my opinion only is Lynch is ours. So get excited, Tigers.
Fair enough. Well, you've heard it here first, like always.
Awesome.
You mentioned, was anything else related?
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately went on your cruise, so I'm glad you liked it. But I had three names that, Lynch was obviously one, but there were two names that I kept on hearing, and I wanted to share them on your thing before they broke. But unfortunately, one of them broke after I had mentioned that, and DeGoey was one of them. I'm not saying these are coming to Tigers. All I'm saying is there's two at the Pies that names are being thrown around. I don't know why. It was DeGoey and Moore, but obviously there's a Sydney link with Moore. There's dissatisfaction at the Pies. I don't know if it will come out, but there's major dissatisfaction at the Pies. From what I've been told, Fazolo's a part of it, the way he's being treated or something like that. I'm very cautious to say that because I know about mental health and all that sort of stuff, full respect to them. But I'm hearing that there's a bit of division at Pieland. I don't want to dissent. I love Collingwood. Don't misunderstand me, guys. I don't like Collingwood. But any Collingwood supporter, this is not me having a dig. I really speak about opposition teams because I really don't give a shit about you, but I'm really just saying this with no malice, just what I'm hearing. So just take it and do your own digging or think I'm full of shit and just move on. But there's something wrong at Pieland. And a story may break from what I heard. I'm not going to mention here. I don't go and scuttlebutt, but yeah, there's something going on at Pieland. But anyway, DeGoey's one, Moore was the other, but those two broke. The other name now, North Melbourne supporters. They're going to think I've just put this name out here just out of bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm not lying. I'm just telling what I hear. So any North Melbourne supporter, like the 13 of you that might be listening, really just go to the library tomorrow and go on the public computer, you know what I mean, and then do your digging or go to the payphone and make a few calls. But Zeebel's name, see, what I've heard is North is aggressive to get another first-round pick, right? Because this draft apparently, and I don't know much about drafting. I go more and I don't really go onto our kids and stuff like Tiger and Posh is brilliant, and Tig's, funny enough, 2010, even though he's mildly challenged and intellectually let's be honest, he's not the brightest sheep in the shed. He knows a lot about the kids. So they're the ones I sort of listen to, but when they talk about our kids. But apparently this is a midfielders draft. Okay. Right, really elite midfielders. So they really want to get in there. They realise they've got no inside speed. They've got some outside run, but no inside speed. They won't make the step without it. So I heard this about 8 months ago, and it's been persistent. So normally when it sits, you generally, when there's smoke, there's fire. Apparently they've been stealthily shopping Zeebel's name to see what they can get for him.
Do you reckon that stance might change, given that their form has probably been a lot better than maybe they even anticipated?
Oh, look. Has it really, though?
I reckon they've exceeded expectations. Maybe not internally, but I reckon they have external. I think a lot of people had them pegged for bottom 3 or 4. And look, I mean, there's still time. They may end up there, but based on current form, I think they'll finish around that 10 to 13 mark. But is that enough to want to keep a Zeeble? I'm not sure.
But if you really analyse North, now this is going to really get people upset with me, and I know I'm going to cop, mate. I'm going to cop every North Melbourne supporter going off at me, all right? But if you analyse North, right, they've had a bottom 4 draw this year, right? They've had a bottom 4 draw, let's be honest. They had a one good win, which is great, good on them, right? And they're playing with this system. Now, they've got a good core. Like, you've got Higgins in that side, you've got Waite, you've got Zeeble, you've got Cunnington, you've got Brown. So you've got 5 players just there that are streets ahead, better quality than Carlton, right? But if you look outside of that, they're on 116%, is their percentage. They're on 16 wins. They're equal 13th, and they have had a really soft draw. They had a great win against Sydney, but Sydney's percentage is 106. So really, Sydney is the weaker, and Port. They're the two that are really don't deserve to be in the 8. If you really just work on percentages, just generally, percentage is a good indicator of how you're performing. You might be getting wins, but if your percentage is quite low, you're just arsing wins, sort of. So Sydney's well out of form. Port's very inconsistent. Hopefully they click, because I love Port, right? But North is 112%. So they're performing the best out of a bottom 4 side. I'm not saying they're a bottom 4 side, but if they finish 13th, 14th, 13th, 12th, 11th, have they really improved that much to take a next step? I don't think so. So what I think is they want to get heavily into the draft. They want first-round picks. Now, I heard Zeebel's name, but Zeebel's name could be brought up because he has currency. Like a team like Sydney would pay a first-round pick for him. Adelaide would spend that. Geelong, they always pay well. My God, they did a first-round for Tui, so they'd, mortgage a house. West Coast, the teams that are thereabouts, GWS. I'm not picking these teams are the ones that they're working with, but all I know, he's been aggressively shopped.
Okay, interesting.
The one untouchable, funny enough, is Higgins. He's untouchable.
He's been very good for them.
Yeah, they're untouchable from what I've heard. But, anyway, I've just heard Zeebel's name. Is there anything to it? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if I've heard it. It should be, you'll find the odd rumour will start to appear in the media, I would think. Yeah. And I've continually heard it. So I think Zeebel might be the one that might be just watch it. Just watch the space. Or watch the message that I've just said. They want to go into they want another first-round pick. So that means they're going to be getting shedding players of not shit quality, right? Because you have to give something to get something.
Yeah, exactly.
So just watch your space when it comes to North. Just watch your space.
Fair enough. Was there any other players from other clubs you've heard?
Yeah, Essendon, funny enough. Hooker, I don't know why, but he's gettable. And I seriously believe it now. I don't say to us. I'm not saying we don't have any interest, but from what I've heard and just seen, maybe I'm getting sold into how they're playing, how unhappy the players look. But I heard it late last year. Hooker is one that I know I think he's still in his contract, but Hooker's one that might be shopped or there's something about Hooker. Hooker's name keeps on coming up. So again, I don't really follow speculation on rival clubs. But Hooker's name, because what I do, paint you guys a picture, is when we get given names, a lot of names get bandied about. I just zero into the Richmond ones because that's the ones I care about. But so what I decided to do, because I'm going to sort of be regular on this podcast, for you guys, if I hear rival names that keep on hearing them, I'll mention them. But I don't dig deep Like I've got 2 layers I clarify. Like I got one particular bloke that I trust, and then I got another particular bloke that I rarely ask him for confirmation, but when I do, if he says yes or no, then I know it's gone from, yeah, I trust you and I believe you're right, to when he okays it, I go, yep, this is cool. Yeah, there is definitely something in it. And that's what path I followed with Shaki, the path I followed with Lynch, the path I followed with Hampson. Funny enough, I was the first person to call him before his name even came up. And even proof in point, even before last night, I just got proven in writing here when I denied it on our boards because I wanted to protect my mate. But I mentioned to you, Michael Casbolt, last trade, well before last trade, the Casbolt mate is getting too linked with us. I'm not saying we're after him, but we cut it off. Obviously, we put names that if we can't get A, we'll go for B. If we can't get B, we'll get C. If we can't get C, we'll get D. His name was in there. So, and that was even before his name got mentioned, and I shared that with you too, Michael. So that's what I do. So I haven't filtered the Zeeble name to my set because I wouldn't worry him about, a club I don't care for. But DeGoey was one that I asked him. He said, yeah, actually there is some people are linking Richmond because of the Balm. He said, but I don't think there's any weight in it. But his name is definitely as one that I want to say something, but I can't because I don't want to get you in trouble, Mick. On our fair, I'll mention it to you, and if you want to add it, if you think it's legally fine for me to say it, my mate's got no problem with me saying it, but I don't want you to get sued.
Oh, yeah, no, fair. Yeah, we'll play it safe.
Yeah, I'll tell you it. Actually, no, Skype, hold on, let me use my technology. I can send you a text while doing this, can't I?
Yeah, you can type it.
How do I type it? Hold on. Sorry, guys. This is the power of broadcasting. Hold on. I got your little icon. I got the icon with the tiger on it. Okay, if I click on that, player share screen, dial pad, place device. How do I type your?
That's what I'm not too sure. That's right, we'll do it after, and I can edit it back in if need be.
But yeah, I don't think to go is linked with us because of this reason.
Okay.
The main, even though it's scuttlebutt, but I don't think so. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
that's all I've got, really.
Very good. No, it's pretty comprehensive, and obviously some big news about Lynch. So fingers crossed that all keeps going smooth sailing, and the AFL don't come in over the top or anything unforeseen happens. But yeah, that would be very exciting to see him in the yellow and black next year. And
that's going to be great, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just good to hear that we're not just sitting on our hands. Like you said, we've been working on it for a while, and and even if it doesn't come off, at least we are being proactive and trying to make things happen, and we're not just being content with what we've got, despite the premiership. So that is good to hear, regardless. And I'm sure you'll probably get other things pop up as we get closer to the trade week too.
Look, I'll shoot you off. I'll shoot you off a PM once I hear it, and then if you believe it's big enough to do a show on, then I'm happy. But what I am doing, guys, just to let you know, at about I reckon August is when it starts really getting tasty. June, July, August. Yeah, August is when probably we'll do this again in August. And I'll have a lot more concrete. But if I hear anything that's really fucking red hot, I'll let Michaels know and we'll get on. And even if it's for 5 minutes, I'll give you guys an update.
Sounds good. Well, Tiger71, thank you as always for coming on and sharing the news, and we really appreciate it.
Yep, too easy.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Richmond BigFooty Tigercast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and YouTube so you can follow all the roast and toast, the reviews and previews, and all topics Richmond. Also keep an ear out for our special episodes of interviews with past players. Go Tigers.